Welcome in, everybody, to Betting Pros. It's time to place your bets. It's me, Joey P. Joe Pizzapia. With me is Derek Brown, D-Bro, and we are breaking down Thursday night football. That's right. Can you believe it? We've got real football tonight to talk about. The Rams, the defending Super Bowl champions, are going to host the Buffalo Bills, this year's favorite for the Super Bowl, in what is likely to be a very entertaining game. Lots of stars, lots of fanfare. It's LA, it's Hollywood. And it's Betting Pros today. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to Betting Pros YouTube channel for all the amazing content, all the streams. We're going to have Monday Night Football, Thursday Night Football. We're going to have stuff where Scott Bogman's doing all kinds of fun things here at halftime. Plus, on Sundays, we're going to take you through all of the in-game action going in here, get you ready for all of your wagers. Derek Brown, I know we're excited to have football back. I know you are. I know I am. I know our audience is. Finally, it's football time, baby.
Have to keep it professional on this show, Joe. If not, I'd be nude. I'm so excited for this football season, man. I'm so ready for Thursday night. We have waited, we have pined, we have hoped, we have done all the things, and it's here, baby. Kickoff.
I can only assume if we had naked Derek Brown, the ratings would go through the roof here, people.
No, they would go down. Nobody wants
through
to see
the roof. Enormous. Well, look, obviously there's a lot of narratives here and a lot of people are going to put too much into this first game, but let's break it down. We're going to start here with the obvious stuff. We're going to talk about some of the game wagering, and then we're going to break down the props because whether you do or don't maybe know, the prop bet cheat sheet is out there, bettingpros.com. It's a fantastic way to look at props because it uses our Fantasy Pros projections against all of the props set on all of the different betting platforms. So you can see where the biggest variance is and take advantage of that. Again, the prop bet cheat sheet is an incredible tool. I use it for all baseball stuff this year. I'm using it for football this year like I did last year. It is fantastic. So go check it out if you haven't at bettingpros.com. We're going to go through some of those as well as some of Derek Brown's favorite props on his own because my boy D-Bro always does his homework. So let's talk about it here. The Buffalo Bills heading into this game are favorites on the road against the defending Super Bowl champions, -2.5. You're getting -110 on that, obviously. So let's start there. Do you believe this line is set correctly, Derek Brown?
I think the line's fine. I still do think that the Bills cover this, though. I think this game's going to be a shootout, but I do still favor the Bills and their scoring potential in this one. I mean, what are your thoughts on it, Joe?
Well, I feel like, people forget that the Rams scuffled a little bit last year. And, as great as the Rams were in terms of what they did with Cooper Kupp and Matthew Stafford played great, Aaron Donald played out of his mind. They have a lot of stars. But I feel like the thing with the Rams is at times there's little inconsistencies. And they, in the playoffs, had so many things break their way. I know you make your own luck, but they were almost out of that game against the Bucs. They were almost out of that game against the 49ers. I think people conveniently forget that. So they almost at the very end, too, if not for that horrible offensive line that the Bengals had last year in the Super Bowl, there was one more play left to be made on that field, but Aaron Donald got to Joe Burrow before Joe Burrow could get to Jamar Chase. So I look at the Rams as a team where everything broke their way in the playoffs. And I think the more complete roster are the Bills. The problem with the Bills is, missing Tre'Davious White. We're going to get to some of the injuries here in a second here, but missing him, I think is huge. I know that Jordan Poyer's been dealing with an injury. So if they can at least maintain and contain the Rams aerial attack enough, I'm with you. I think that the Bills are the side here with the -2.5, and I would be leaning that way with this one. The over-under is 52. Now, that is something I think we can sink our teeth into a little bit more. Derek, where do you lay on this one, the 52 at -110 for the over and -109 on the under?
I'll be smashing the over. I think that this goes over. I think both of these teams, and you talked about it, Joe, I think we're going to talk about some of these injuries and stuff, and I don't think that this Bills secondary is the secondary of old like we're talking about last year. So I think the Rams can come out and put up a good bit of points here. Now, we just talked about, I think, the Bills cover. If I'm telling you I think the Rams can put up points and the Bills are going to cover, this game is going to freaking shoot out. So I'm taking the over here.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I'm like the over in the Bills as well. Money lines wanted to stay away from it, the -135. I don't think you want the Bills at that number. It's a little too much juice for my liking for sure. Let's talk about some more of the injuries too, just so everybody knows what's going on here with the latest. And of course, you can get the latest from the Fantasy Pros News Desk app. We have all the information about who's in, who's out, who's dealing with injuries. I mentioned Poyer. I mentioned White. Good news for the Bills. Isaiah McKenzie was a full participant in practice this week, so he's trending in the right direction. What kind of impact can McKenzie make on this game, in your opinion?
I think McKenzie's going to crush. I really, really do. I've been talking about him in our Discord all week, and I'm not going to shut up about it now. His matchup, as far as cornerback wise, and we're talking about, and yes, people throw out there's noise with cornerback matchups. When I'm telling you a guy's going to be in the slot 70 to 80% of his snaps, he's going to face the one dude. Yes, we could say that's going to happen, and that dude is Troy Hill, who was not good last year. The Rams brought him back. I don't know why, but he was terrible in the slot last year for the Browns, and I think McKenzie eats his lunch in this game.
All right, let's go to the other side here. Out for this game is Van Jefferson. Probably going to miss a couple games, but you have Allen Robinson. I know there's some expectations there. A lot of people, especially in the fantasy community, want to see what he's capable of doing in this Rams offense. We're going to talk about more Allen Robinson and Cooper Kupp here as we go through some of the props. But just looking at this, because of some of the injuries going on with Buffalo, do you think this is a really good opportunity here for Allen Robinson to have a nice debut for the Rams and kind of get his career back on track?
I do. I like Allen Robinson, and I'm not going to say that I'm chasing a lot of the overs and stuff. I've taken a few different bets on him on various sites. I like him in this game, though, because, again, we're talking about the Bills' secondary is not what we've at least linked into them being in previous years. Tre'Davious White's not playing in this game. Levi Wallace is now in Pittsburgh. So you got Dane Jackson and you got Kyer Elam, or there was another late round rookie that they're possibly going to start. If it's not Elam, this all spells that Allen Robinson can have a really good game in this matchup.
All right, let's move on to some of the props here. And sometimes it's fun to just shoot fish in a barrel. I mean, I always love ones like this. And you start off with one here, which is the Matthew Stafford 1.5 rushing yards, which, I mean, really, you just got to get loose on one moment and just kind of slide for a couple yards. I love props like this personally. I think this is, like I said, kind of the gimmies of prop bets. So
Yep.
1.5, you're taking the over in this one, correct, Eric?
Yeah, I'd take the over in this one. And this would, if you're building like, multi-leg parlays and stuff, this is a great one to start with. And a lot of this is if you don't believe in Cam Akers, then you need to be betting the over on Matthew Stafford's rushing yards, because in the playoffs, he hit this over every single game in the playoffs when the Rams struggled to run the ball. Now, Stafford, if we think that Buffalo is going to get after him as far as a pass rush, he can get yards on the ground. So I think this is a smash over, and a lot of my multi-leg parlays, this is where I'd be starting it.
All right, here's a question from Don Play. And look, if you've got questions here and you're watching live, drop them here in the comments. We love to have you be part of the show. Should I take the 26.5 first half over under? What are your thoughts? He wants the under here, Donnie does, 26.5. We often know sometimes, sometimes a little flatness in some of these early games here. To me, I actually kind of like the under here in the 26.5 personally. I actually think that's good. I think this is a game that, as it goes, starts to open up a little bit more just because we just haven't seen these guys in the field all that much. We don't have that fourth preseason game, not that people played, but I feel like just in general, D, a lot of people didn't play and participate in the preseason. So do you think maybe there's a little flatness, at least in that first quarter, where maybe this under actually looks pretty good?
Yeah, I mean, look, if you're projecting this game, I'm talking about taking the over as far as the total and stuff, but I think we could see these two teams come out a little bit flat, especially the Rams in the first half, in the sense that McVay never plays any of his starters in the preseason, ever.
Right.
So, and they've been building chemistry, one in just training camp and stuff. So, yeah, I like the under. It's not a line that I'm going to smash or anything like that, but if I am going to take a stance on it, I would bet the under.
Yeah, the under for the first half actually is pretty appealing, but I think the over for the game is good because I think once everybody gets to the groove, these two offenses are going to start to hum and start to take advantage. Plus, also, don't forget, defenses are still building up their stamina too. And it's very different to play a couple quarters of defense and be on the field than it is to go out there and play 4 quarters of defense. We've seen it last year and the year before. The more these defensive players don't play a lot in the preseason, the more they struggle with stamina early on. So that's a really interesting approach here for that. Once again, I want to remind everybody too, if you are a subscriber of Fantasy Pros, make sure you click that little bell here for notifications on Betting Pros. Also, join us over on Betting Pros all the time to check us out here because we're going to be doing these streams every single week on Monday, Thursday, and Sunday. And there's even more Betting Pros content also. All right, so we've hit the injuries. We hit one of the props. Let's go to another one that you like a lot. Cam Akers, 43.5 rushing yards. Are you over or under on the Cam Akers number?
I'm going to take the over. And if we would not have seen how he performed in the playoffs, then I think a lot of this line is wrong because of recency bias. The Bills were a run defense that you can attack last year. And come on, Joe, even if we're talking about split backfields with Henderson factoring in here, this line is ridiculously low. Like, you give Cam Akers 14 carries, he runs for over 3.4 yards per carry, which is a terrible number. he's hitting the over on this line.
Right.
So I think it's a line to exploit, and our betting pros projections agree massively with me.
Yeah, a 15 differential there. He's projected for 56.5, which is also kind of a low number. The
Still
best
low.
place to bet this too is FanDuel. They've got this at minus 110. So if you're looking to find the best spot for this particular one, FanDuel, again, this is what you do. You go look at the prop bet cheat sheet, you find your favorite prop bet, you look for the best house, you go make your wager. It's like the crib notes for for the tests. That's what this is. All right, let's go to another one. So we did Stafford, we did Akers. Let's do another Akers one here. Let's go to the receiving yards, 13.5. Do you think he hits this one?
I do think he hits this one, and I think one of the things that helps him a lot in this one is Van Jefferson being out. I think you're looking at two very different offensive systems where the Bills can spread the ball out. They do this multiple weeks, get weird, get cute with stuff. The Rams are just going to consolidate things more. You're going to see more targets funneled to Cooper Kupp, Allen Robinson, and the trickle-down effect from that is Cam Akers. So 2 catches he gets out of the backfield, and he's going to run probably just as many routes as Henderson does. He did that in the Super Bowl. I think he needs like 2 catches, and he pays off on this.
Zach Moss, the number is 13.5 rushing yards. I love that you dug deep for another gimme one. I mean, look, we've heard Zach Moss is going to work in rotation. We know that James Cook was drafted. We know that Devin Singletary had the great run last year. So, D, the number is 13.5 rushing yards for Zach Moss. Is this easy money right here with the under?
I think so. I think it's easy money. I mean, the thing about it is that Zach Moss can be active, maybe gets a carry in this game, and hits the under quite handedly here. I don't know if he's even going to really get more than like a handful of snaps, much less maybe more than 1 or 2 carries. And a Rams defense that was top 10 against the run last year, yeah, I'll take that smoke.
All right, let's see what the smoke is on Isaiah McKenzie, another player we touched on earlier. He's healthy enough to play. You mentioned about him potentially having a big game here. The number is 32.5 receiving yards. Are you over this number?
Over. Look, I can't get enough of McKenzie props out there. The receptions, over. The receiving yards, over. If you can find a place to bet fantasy points on certain different sites, over. I love McKenzie in this game. I think the overs and the lines in this game, and looking at him, because he's the starting slot wide receiver for the Bills with the best matchup on the board, people. And his lines are wrong. They're all wrong.
Let's go back to the comments here. We got a question. Should we start Gabriel Davis or DK Metcalf? Personally, taste the Skittles. I'm starting Gabriel Davis, Gabriel Davis. So 2 for 2 on that Skittles.
Yep.
Then the question is Gabriel Davis over 56.5 yards. This is one I would kind of stay away from. I'm looking for the touchdown props when it comes to Gabriel Davis, because I do think he's going to find the end zone today, which brings us to a couple other things I want to talk about, which is Stephon Diggs, who's going to have Ramsey on him. The number is 65.5 for him. This is going to be a very popular wager. The projections have him over, but this is one I'm staying away from. To me, this is the trap of this game, Derek. How do you feel about the Stephon Diggs number?
Yeah, I'm not going to bet it. I think it's a really good line. I think it's sharp. I know our projections have him over that. But look, we don't see Ramsey shadow a ton because the Rams do believe in their other corners. Does that mean that we can totally rule it out happening in this game? No, I don't think we could rule that out at all. So if there's a player that I'm going to fade in this game, I mean, all my bets say it. My DFS action says it. All of it says it. I'm going to fade Stephon Diggs if I'm picking one player out of this game.
All right. Now, everybody always likes to talk about the quarterbacks in here, too. So we've got the 265.5 number for Matthew Stafford, the 270.5 number for Josh Allen. Are you touching either of these? Both of them are projected over these numbers. But once again, if things kind of get a slow start, these might be tricky numbers. Are you in? Are you out? Are you staying away? How are you going here?
Honestly, I would probably stay away from both of these. If I'm going to bet one of them, I would take the over for Matthew Stafford. Again, I know that might surprise people, but people are pegging the Buffalo Bills secondary as being last year's secondary, and it's not. So I think that if any one of these guys, if I'm going to bet the over on his passing yards, Allen can get there and smash tonight, but he can get there by running the ball in, rushing the ball, all these other different facets of his game. I would much rather, if I'm going to bet the over on the passing yards, go with Matthew Stafford.
If anything on Allen, I'm looking for the over on the 1.5 passing touchdowns. To me, that's the one to go. And look,
Or I'd take the over on his rushing yards.
Look, you're getting a bad number, but if you take the over on his rushing yards, you take the over on the pass yards, and you take that Matthew Stafford 1.5. there's your quarterback parlay of the night, and it's almost easy money there, I think.
Yep.
Again, if you're just trying to bet that singularly, minus 165, it's a lot of juice on the passing touchdowns and the over on Josh Allen. But at the same time, I think what you're looking for is to pair that with something else. So when you see the big minuses, get a couple of them together. There's your parlay. Make it easy on yourself and go through. Anything else here you're looking for from this game today in terms of wagering or any just fantasy things or anything else that kind of sticks out to you? It is the first game. I know we love to overreact, but my goodness, it's football. Let's overreact a little. We're excited.
I mean, I think like if you're going for touchdown props, again, I'll go back to Cam Akers. I think he can get in the end zone here. I think that a lot of the puff and praise for the Buffalo Bills defense, which do not get me wrong here, people. They're a good defense. They're a top 5 defense in the NFL. But where we've seen the cracks in the pavement, I've already talked to you and discussed all the secondary stuff, but their run defense was puffed up last year. I remember, Joe, I'm old enough to remember when everybody was like so worried about Jonathan Taylor, and then he went out and just absolutely decimated them.
Yeah, sure.
So I think that Cam Akers, I will be gravitating to any kind of touchdown props I can find out there on the market for him. I think that he can get there on the ground this week, and I think he can get it in the end zone.
All right. So before we head out, we're going to hit one more question here. And again, I know it's the BP channel, but we're here to help the people. If you're one of our betting pros people, our fantasy pros family, we take care of you. So Monique's got a question. Hey guys, need some help in the PPR flex. I've got Renfro, Devonta Smith, and Julio Jones. Or would you go with an RB like Singletary or Patterson? Now, this matters tonight. To me, I got to tell you in the PPR, I love Renfro this week, especially with Waller banged up, especially with all the Devontae Adams attention and JC Jackson being out for the Chargers. To me, I think Renfro has a really good opportunity here. I like the floor. I like the ceiling. I like the volume potentially. How about you? What do you like in this one? Renfro, Devonta Smith, Julio, or would you go RB like Singletary or Patterson?
I'm going Julio on this one. I love the game environment. Again, this is another, you're talking about a high total game with your pick, Joe. I'm going to go to another high total game. And the other thing I want to talk about here is that last year we saw Trevon Diggs in Mike Evans' back pocket. Now, I do not think that Chris Godwin plays this week.
I don't either. I know it's trending that way, but I think it's a lot of puff and smoke.
I think it's all puff. It's all puff and smoke. Like one day they're like, oh, he's wearing a brace. The next day they're like, oh, he should the brace. And I'm like, his knee didn't change that much in one day, people. Like, let's understand this. And all saying this, I think that Julio Jones is going to get a lot of targets this week and a high total game. I think that this is the matchup you want to gravitate to. Give me Julio.
All right, let's recap Derek's favorite props. The over on the rushing yards, 1.5 on Stafford. The over on Cam Akers, rush yards at 43.5 and 13.5 receiving yards. The under on poor Zach Moss, 13.5 rushing yards. And Isaiah McKenzie over on the 32.5 receiving yards. We're also both taking Buffalo in this one and the -2.5, and we both look for the over as well. We want to remind everybody, Monday, we're going to be doing this every Monday afternoon for football, every Thursday afternoon, every Sunday morning. We're going to be here. We love hanging out, talking football with all of you. So have fun. Go check out bettingpros.com. Go make your wagers through that prop bet cheat sheet also, so you get the best bang for your buck, because that is important. If you haven't checked that out, I'm telling you, it's the answers to the test. It's right there in front of you. It's one of the best things. I use it. Debro uses it. It's one of the most incredible tools that any betting site has to offer, and Betting Pros has it, and it's free. I love free stuff. So go check it out at bettingpros.com. That'll do it for us, but the story of the game goes on. For Derek Brown, I'm Joey P. Enjoy the football, everybody. We'll see you next time.